Tortilla stacks have been around in Australia for a long time, and you've probably seen versions made with charred salsa or taco seasoning, but I prefer this one. It's made with whole foods with black beans and corn for a little bit of texture. It reminds me a bit of a Mexican lasagna, however so much less work than a regular lasagna. It's really tasty and it's quick and it's easy, and this is how I do it. So over a medium heat, warm up a heavy based pan, and once it's got a little bit of heat to it, then I just add a couple of tablespoons of oil, and I'm using olive oil just to cover the base. Then to that I add one finely diced onion, quite a large one, well, a medium to large one, one medium green capsicum or bell pepper, and I'm just going to saute that over a medium heat until the onions are starting to soften and they're becoming a bit translucent. Stirring now and then. That's been about 5 minutes and the onions have started to soften, and then I add 500 grams of beef mince, and still over a medium heat I'm going to break this up and cook it until it's brown. And once there's no pink remaining, now I add all the seasonings. Starting with 2 large cloves of garlic that I've finely chopped, 2 teaspoons of cumin, and 2 teaspoons of paprika powder. I'm using 1 teaspoon of smoky paprika powder and 1 teaspoon of sweet paprika powder, but you can use 2 teaspoons of sweet or 2 teaspoons of smoky, 1 teaspoon of mild chili powder, 1 heaped teaspoon of oregano, and just 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper for a little bit of heat. And I'll just cook that off for a minute or so until I can smell all those beautiful flavours and those spices. And then I add a 400 gram tin of crushed tomatoes, and to the tin I just add 1/4 cup of water, which is like 65 mils of water, just to get the rest out of the tin. And now I add about 1 teaspoon of salt, you can always add more later, and 1 tablespoon of sugar, just to balance the acidity from those tin tomatoes. Even though they're a good brand, there's still some acidity there. And now I'm just going to cook this. I'll lower my heat and I'm going to cook this for about 10 to 15 minutes, just so all those flavours can melt together. Stirring now and then. Now that's been bubbling away now for about 10 minutes, and if I run my spoon down the middle, the sauce doesn't follow behind it, so it's quite thick, and that's how you want it. Taste it for seasoning and see what it needs. In my opinion, it needs another tablespoon of sugar, a little more salt, and some pepper. Now for the add-ins, I've got 1 400 gram tin of black beans here that I've rinsed and drained well, and they give it a lovely little texture. And what I really love in this is 1 fresh corn cob, which I've just taken the corn off, or you could use a tin of corn kernels instead, but I really like the crunch that these little fresh corn give you. And I'm just going to cook this just for 5 more minutes. I don't want the corn to lose its crunch or the black beans to go mushy, but it's really lovely and thick now, and that's how you want it. So that's been bubbling away now just for another few minutes, and that's ready. Now you can prepare this the day before and the flavours even meld better together. However, it's still delicious right now. So I'm just going to turn it off and set it aside for a moment. Now you'll need tortillas, and Old El Paso has just released jumbo gluten-free tortillas, which actually haven't got any nasties in them. There's no preservatives And they say on the back of the pack they're just as good or even better than normal tortillas, and I've used them a few times now and they're fantastic. So depending on the size of your tortillas depends on the size of your tin. I found that the corn tortillas go too mushy, so you need whole wheat or these gluten-free ones. Now in this gluten-free pack there's 4 tortillas, but what I like to do just for the bottom tortilla, so it has a bit of structure because it will be supporting the whole tortilla stack, is I lightly toast the first one. And all I do is warm up a pan until there's a bit of heat there, over a moderate heat. And then I just put in the tortilla, no oil or anything, and I'm just going to toast that. And you know, this step isn't necessary, but I like to do it. And that's enough. And even though this is a non-stick sort of pan, I like to spray it on the base and the sides with some spray oil because I'm not going to line it. So that's sprayed well now. My toasted tortilla, which has gone harder, it's not flexible now, goes on the bottom. And I'm wondering if I should put it in my other pan. I think so, because you don't really want the gap around there. So I've got a slightly smaller 23 centimetre pan, which will work perfect. I really love a few jalapenos sprinkled between the layers as well. And I just bought these from the supermarket, and they're jalapeno nacho slices. And all I do is remove some. They're not that spicy. They're a little bit spicy, but they're such a lovely little surprise when you eat this. And then I just chop them up a little bit. But that's totally optional. And the cheese I'm using today is this perfect Mexican cheese. Generally, I just use cheddar cheese. You can use whatever you like. Another thing I like to do before I put the mince mixture on here is to put just a little cheese, which helps seal the tortilla. So it creates a barrier between that and the mince so it doesn't get soggy. And the mince has cooled down a little bit, and that's what you want. You don't want it super hot. It's still warm, but it's just been sitting there for 10 minutes. So I take about 1/3 of that mixture and put it over the cheese. And you know, you could make this a 6-layer tortilla stack, whatever you like. It's just those gluten-free packets only give you 4 tortillas, so I work with that. And then just a bit of cheese. And if you're using the jalapenos, just a sprinkle of jalapenos. A tortilla. Press it down. Oh, I forgot the cheese. Oh no. Oh, just a little cheese. Now the mince. A little more cheese. Some more jalapenos if you're using them. Another tortilla, and press it down a little bit, and the rest of the mince. Oh, I forgot the cheese on top of the layer again. Oh, it doesn't matter, for this layer it'll be okay. Bit of cheese, jalapenos, the final tortilla, and what goes on top is a big nice thick layer of sour cream, and cover all that tortilla. And finally a little more cheese. Now you don't have to put the cheese between the layers, you can just put it on top, up to you. I've made this one today pretty cheesy, to be honest. Well, I've used all this pack and it was 450 grams. Now, I've preheated the oven to 170 degrees Celsius with a fan, which is 190 conventional. And I'll pop this in until all the cheese is melted and it's all golden brown. So 20 to 30 minutes. And be careful, just hold it on the sides, not on the base, or it will pop up. Done. So I actually put it in for 30 minutes all up, and it smells beautiful. It's It's golden brown, all the cheese is melted, and I just get a thin knife and I just run my knife along the inside rim of the tin. And now the hardest part is that I wait 15 minutes before I undo the springform pan. It's because much like a lasagna, it just needs that time before I release it. So it's been 15 minutes. I'm a little bit worried because I used a different brand of sour cream, a local brand, because I like to support them, and it seems to be a little bit runnier. Oh well, let's see. Sometimes it's easier if you can cut a slice before you undo it, when it's super fresh. I'm going to just try that now. Just cut one slice before I undo it. The moment of truth. It's always nerve-wracking. And here goes. Beautiful. Although the sour cream I used was a bit runnier, this is really fresh. But let me see if I can get out a slice and film it. Always the tricky part. Looks a bit messy, but super good. I think I'll come back later when it's cooled down a little bit and cut another slice so you can see the lovely layers. And sometimes it's best to do that if you want the layers to look lovely. Just let it rest, but I think I might have put too much cheese on this one. Oh well. And you can serve that with a salad or just by itself with some sour cream or spring onions, whatever you like. And there you have it, a beef tortilla stack. It's really tasty and, as you can see, very easy. I hope you enjoy this recipe if you try it, and thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you again soon.